Hi, so I'm good, and I'm here to show you my Dominating Blow build. I want to make a character that uses Dominating Blow. I really like this skill. It gives you little minion guys, and they just go around and just wreck shit. Because, you know, Mafia Man rolls with the crew. And yeah, it's a really interesting skill. Like, it has a lot of interesting problems, though. One is the mana cost, which is absurd. It costs 177. So, you know, to utilize this, I had to grab Eldritch battery up here. Alternatively, I could have grabbed Blood Magic, but I really didn't want to make a Blood Magic build. So, yeah, just grab a ton of mana and Energy Shield on gear. I've got 3,500 mana and roughly 260 mana regeneration, which is enough to actually use Dominating Blow constantly. So, it also lets me use Arctic Armor at a high level, so it, you know, basically makes me immune to lower level mobs. But this character doesn't really work out for a couple interesting reasons. One is that the damage on Dominating Blow, if you're scaling elemental damage, just isn't that high. It's not quite at the levels that make it kind of acceptable to use. The minions do great damage, but if I can't kill anything, then I don't have any minions, and therefore I don't do great damage. So, you know, Dominating Blow at least needs to do okay damage for it to work. And I didn't think the damage would be quite this bad, but then I used something like a Lightning Strike, and the DPS is almost about double the DPS of Dominating Blow. And, you know, I found that once I got to, you know, kind of like into maps generally, I just kind of stopped using Dominating Blow altogether because Lightning Strike was stronger, it did more damage, and it was safer. And I know I could link extra things to it, and overall it was just a much better skill to use. I really didn't want this, because I really want to make a guy who just spam Dominating Blow constantly and just dominated everything, and maybe had some Spectre Bros just roll around and melt stuff with their fire breath. And yeah, that's kind of the character I wanted to make, but it didn't really turn out to work that well in later map levels. So I'm probably gonna retrofit this character into a dual totem Dominating Blow that might actually use the new Infernal Mantle chest that was released a couple days ago. So why would I do this? The dual totem provides a lot of extra damage, and it does that damage constantly. And if you know the mechanics of Dominating Blow doesn't actually have to be the last hit on an enemy. It just has to be an enemy at about the time when the enemy, or a hit at about the time when the enemy died. It applies a debuff just like Infernal Blow does, and if they die while the duration of on that debuff is still active, it activates and does whatever it's supposed to do. In Dominating Blow, you get the minion. In Infernal Blow's case, they explode and blaze of glory. But yeah, so you don't have to get the last hit with Dominating Blow, you just have to stab them with Dominating Blow at about the time they die. So I was thinking of specing it to dual totem with the new Infernal Mantle chest, and taking maybe some more minion life nodes and minion instability, along with elemental equilibrium. So what would happen is that I'd lay down a Spark Totem, Ice Nova Totem, and while those two are proccing each other with elemental equilibrium, I'd have the Wrath or Anger aura up on my minions. So whenever they hit, they'd also apply a small elemental debuff. Or not a small, elemental equilibrium is huge! But so they'd provide a small little debuff, and when they died, they'll explode in a blaze of glory because of minion instability. And because of the Spark Totem, they're basically guaranteed to have -50 resist on to at least fire. I was probably going to take Dual Curse as well, so I could dual cast Elemental Weakness and Flammability. And then when they explode, they'll do a ton of fire damage. And with the new Infernal Mantle chest, when a minion explodes and does fire damage, it should also do chaos damage. And chaos damage scales really, really well. The Infernal Mantle also has other really beneficial stats like 100% crit chance and increased fire damage. So, you know, when a minion explodes from minion instability, it does extra fire damage, and some of that fire damage is converted to chaos damage, which very few enemies have, you know, any resistance against. So it should scale a lot better than this does. Like elemental works really well, but you know, trying to stab guys with elemental dominating blow, the damage simply isn't there. You know, if you had really, really awesome gear and rings and an amulet that had a ton of extra elemental damage, like mine are all right. They have at least, you know, one decent mod on them. The damage could be a bit better, but if you had that gear, it's probably better put to use on an elemental cleave build, because the damage on one of those builds is going to be so much higher than it is going to be on one of these. So, yeah, dual totem dominating blow. That's what this character is going to be. If it works, I'll post a video. If it doesn't work, I'll still post a video. But, you know, generally act depressed about it. Basically it. Yeah. Scab off.